All right, we're live. Welcome back to Stand and Bang. We've taken a long hiatus. People have bothered us to come back for some reason, since we're probably going to get all of, well, right now, 0 viewers. We're back. I'm Aaron. That's Fred. Fred, say hi.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Already starting off just fucking peachy.
We're back.
All right, we're back and live. We're going to try to do this live, no editing, and then, of course, it'll be available up on the YouTube page so we can get at least 3 viewers on this stuff. So last night...
Listen,
go ahead.
The last people that tried to do a live thing, when they did the last season of a Tough Live, you know it fucking bombed, right?
Yeah, but our show never had any viewers, so it doesn't matter.
It's a good fucking point. Nowhere to go but up from here, goddammit.
Nowhere to go. All right, so I'm going to tweet out one more time. Oh, we got a viewer. All right, so whoever is viewing us, feel free to tweet back and forth. I'll try to answer. And let me see here. I still didn't figure out how to send out the link, so that's not really awesome. But maybe
next week.
Maybe somebody will help us with that. But anyways, the show is up right now. We're going to talk some UFC 205 here pretty soon. And so check out the live feed of our show now. Link provided by
there we
Eddie
go.
Law.
Oh shit. Name dropping the celebrities already. Look at that.
All right. So anyways, last night, historic event, UFC, Madison Square Garden. For all of me, better than 200 by far. I enjoyed the fights. What are you looking all weird already? You didn't think it was better than 200?
No. I completely agree. Absolutely better than 200. Come on. You know I think it's better than 200. Motherfucking Conor came home and did the unthinkable.
All right, so let's just go ahead and jump off right there, okay? Andrew Reed is watching. Thanks, Andrew.
Go fuck yourself, English.
Here's the thing. Whenever there's a big hype train, I'm very reluctant to jump on it, and I have been reluctant, and I'm still not jumping on the Conor hype train. But no, Eddie, I need the link to the live YouTube show, not how to invite more guests. I've already got my one guest. But for McGregor to come out and handle Eddie Alvarez, no matter if you like him or hate him, it shows a lot, especially because we know that he is a left hand. That's what he wants to land, and that's exactly what he does land, and he lands it well, and he lands it hard. And last night was kind of like my last chance to doubt him. If Alvarez was able to bully him like he bullies some fighters, take it where he wanted to take it, beat him up for that 7-minute mark before Conor gasses, then, of course, there's going to be questions because of Nate. But just like always, what happens is, I guess we can call it now the McGregor effect. Eddie looked like a deer in headlights. He immediately decided to fight at distance. He immediately decided to play Conor's game, and he immediately got knocked on his ass. And it was fast. I was like, I talked to you before the fights, and I said, I kind of feel like it's going to be quick, like he's just going to straight starch him. Is that how you felt?
No, actually, I didn't. I mean, I think one of the major things for me going into this fight was I wondered if Conor's power was going to translate to 55. He had one fight above 45 in the UFC, and that was with Nate at 170, which was silly because we all know Nate's a 55er. Now, Nate is fucking abnormally tough. So it was hard for me to gauge his power in that fight because nobody really knocks Nate out. My major question coming into this fight with Eddie Alvarez, would his power translate above 45? Would he be able to hurt guys other than Nate Diaz above 45? And I'll be a son of a bitch if he didn't. And you're absolutely right, man. I think Conor McGregor, we discussed this earlier off air, is getting the Mike Tyson and the Ronda Rousey effect going. I think after he landed that first punch, after the first time that he knocked Eddie Alvarez down, I think it just completely sapped Eddie's will. And I think that he just was never really in the fight after that. Once Conor gives those people a little taste of that power, I think it all becomes way too real for him. I didn't know if the power would translate, but now it seems like it does very well. We all know he's technically great. So if that power translates at 55, he could be a fucking monster, man. He looked impressive against Eddie
He
Alvarez.
did. He's so calm and he's so relaxed, and I think that's what plays a lot into it. Is he has that belief in himself. He doesn't get caught up in it. He didn't look like he was nervous at all. Alvarez, on the other hand, is never really, because now Conor is starting to drive the show. So he's getting used to these huge crowds. Alvarez, not so much. He's arrived late. He hasn't had that wonderful, 3-2 in the UFC, hasn't had that wonderful of a reception. So I think maybe Madison Square Garden, 100 miles away from his hometown, and he got booed and booed. So I think maybe it was too much for him. But deer in the headlights, got starched, only made it to the second round, and then we had Conor's classic attitude. Now, this is why I'm not jumping on the hype train. I think he's a very talented athlete. I don't think he's the best fighter that the UFC's ever seen. I think he's the best showman that the UFC's ever seen. And I do think that he's very good at knowing his strengths and weaknesses and getting people to play his game. What did you think about his after-fight speech with the 2 belts and the "you cheap bastards" and all this stuff?
Come on, man. You already know I fucking love it. This is what we tune in for. Where the fuck's his other belt at? Listen, this is a fucking lifelong dream of this guy for fucking years. Since he got to the UFC, this has been his prophecy to stand his little Irish ass in the middle of the octagon with both fucking belts draped over him. And what? Now they can't find the other belt? I fucking dig it. Go get my fucking belt.
Didn't you hear? He didn't bring it. From what I got out of Dana White, he's like, "What do you mean? You didn't fucking bring it?" And Conor's like, "No, get my other fucking belt." You know?
Listen,
he's actually pushing Dana around. Go get my other fucking belt. And Dana's like, "Yes, sir."
Yeah, it looked like he was about to throw Dana a beat, and then somebody grabbed him like, "Oh, get back here, man." But listen, the best part is, now I could be wrong about this. This is just what I've heard. I've heard that the belt that they brought out was none other than Tyron Woodley's belt.
Who cares?
Oh, fucking, I'll bet you Tyron does after that little Irish prick was running his mouth to him, and then you come take my fucking belt to drape over his shoulder. Fuck that. I won my belt tonight. And I can't stand that little Irish prick. Tell you what, if I was Tyron, I'd have said, fuck that. He don't get both belts tonight. Jack, tell him to come take it off of me.
Yeah, well, since he leads the company in pretty much everything right now, I'm pretty sure he gets whatever he wants. Now, speaking of that, all right, so you are also a huge fan of Nurmagomedov.
Nurmi.
Yeah. Now, I've been saying for a long time, the reason why he ducks him is I think that Nurmi will shit whip Conor all over the cage, just like he dominated Michael Johnson. I do not think that Nurmi will get the next title shot. I believe that they're going to give it to Ferguson because this allows the hype train to continue for longer. Although Ferguson is long and he's tall and he's creative, I don't see him being able to figure out Conor as easily as Nurmagomedov. But you think that the Eagle might get the next one?
Okay, man. So this is why I love Conor winning this fight, because now we have got tons of avenues and ways that this can go. First things first, okay? We need to establish one thing. Is he going to try to keep both belts and consecutively defend both of them? Okay. If he's not, and he stays at 55, then that's a discussion in and of itself. Hypothetically, if he does choose to keep both belts, I think everybody in the MMA world agrees he has to go back to 45 and defend that belt first, correct?
No. No, I mean, I don't think so. They're changing the rules for him. So, no, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be the case. I think he's going to pretty much do whatever he asks.
What would you like to see if he decides to keep both belts, though? You as an MMA fan, if he wants to run this gambit of trying to be the champion of both weight divisions, personally, if he wants to do that, I feel like as much as we like to fucking clown Jose Aldo, the poor sap deserves this fucking shot. If Conor can't keep that fucking weight division in limbo no fucking longer.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the weight cut on him is ridiculously difficult. And we already know now that he translates his power to 55, right? So if he goes back to 45 and does well, do we care as much? I mean, he's obviously a 55er who was able to shrink himself to 145. And I think that 155 is a more exciting division. I think that Max Holloway deserves a chance because there's nobody else on a win streak like him. Nobody else that gave Conor the difficulty that he did early on in his run in the UFC. So if he does go back down, I'm not so sure who I want to see him fight. And I'm not so sure if he's willing to put himself through the torture to get back to 145. And that's going to be the idea. If he keeps both belts, obviously he's going to have to. Dana's already said that he can't keep both belts, but Dana White is the biggest liar I've ever fucking seen except for Hillary Trump. So chances are they're going to let him do whatever he wants to. I don't know. I want to see him stay at 155. I think he has a better chance of being challenged at 155 because that's his natural fight weight, and that's the power translated. We saw that last night. So I would rather see him stay at 155.
I'll give you this. You make a great point. If he can beat the guys at 55 and the champions there, it does seem at some point a bit pointless for him to cut down to 45 and continue to defend that belt. It's kind of like, why do that if you're already starching guys at 55? So for the sake of argument, let's just say that he does give up the featherweight belt and he decides to stay at lightweight. At that point, we've got a very, very interesting situation, okay? We've got two guys who definitely deserve the fight with very different stakes at hand. You are right in that, personally, I am not sold on El Kukui. I don't give a shit what he did to RDA. I just have never really been – he's exciting to watch fight, but I just don't – I feel like he's waiting to be exposed. I don't think he's championship material. That's just my personal opinion. I do think that you're right. If they line that fight up, I think that's a very winnable fight for Conor. Obviously, a lot more winnable than the Nurmi fight. Styles make fights, and the shit that Khabib did to Michael Johnson last night was fucking impressive, to say the least. And we always like to make this big, fuss about Conor's never fought a guy like this going into a Conor fight. Well, I tell you what, if they line up the Khabib fight, you can successfully say that Conor ain't never fought nobody like Khabib, Jack. He's never fought. I mean, nobody. I don't know if we've ever seen a grappler like Khabib in the UFC before. His grappling is fucking sensational.
All right, so since we're talking about him, let's talk about the Michael Johnson fight. That was insane because Michael Johnson's a stud. Yeah, you agree with that?
Absolutely.
All right, now when a stud like that has this look on his face the whole fight. You guys see that? We got 8 viewers right now. You guys can tweet, send out the links, get more people to watch us. Actually,
sure.
What's this shit? I don't know. I'm sorry. I was unprepared. I don't know how to send out more links. If I did, I'd put more shit out on Twitter. But feel free to tweet at me or Kirby. Absolutely ridiculous. When Nurmagomedov was holding him down and just sending in those lefts and rights, Michael Johnson looked like, what the fuck is happening right now? Why can't I stand up? And that's what Nurmi brings to the table, a level of grappling and a different kind of grappling that is just confounding, that he can hold people down like he does, still deliver damage. Then at the same time, he's in no rush to submit you. He wants to hold you there and dominate you and beat your ass. And I don't know, maybe he just hasn't fought anybody like McGregor. I think if he gets in there with Conor, he will get a hold of him, and he will be able to get the little Irish guy down and hold him wherever he wants.
Listen, 2 big things about Nurmi. A lot of people would argue that he's got the style that most people would not find exciting to watch. It's not. It is. It's very exciting to watch. He's very grapple heavy, but the way he was fucking almost using Michael Johnson's own like momentum against him, he had his right wrist pinned and he was kind of like, I don't know, shifting his whole body into those punches to where he was kind of like jerking Michael Johnson into it. I've never really seen anything fucking like that, to be honest with you. And listen, back to the original point, as far as him versus Conor, if you're talking about money fights, if Ari and them cats are trying to get as much money as they can out of Conor, they have always talked about doing a big show at what's it called? Fucking Crow Park or whatever the fucking Ireland, the big, huge fucking venue. I think Nurmi Conor, promoted correctly, could fill that venue and be a fucking massive fight because not only, I give it to Nurmi, he's fucking good on the mic. Did you see his little post-fight scrum thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. he fucking impressive. Calling Conor a chicken, fucking telling Dana White, don't send me no fucking no fake fight fucking forms no more. He's impressive on the mic. He's not quite Conor McGregor, but he will offer enough. He said something about there's only 6 million Irish and there's 120 million Russians. I mean, he's fucking stirring the pot in a very exciting way, and the prick's undefeated. So it depends what they're going to do with this shit. That's the fight that it's a bad fight because they're literally my two favorite fighters, but I think that's one of the most exciting fights you can make in MMA right now. I don't know if they'll go straight to it, but that's the big one for me.
All right, so he's 23-0, arguably the best grappler that we've ever seen. Just held down a stud in Michael Johnson, made it look easy. And then the Irish chicken. Oh, the Irish chicken. I absolutely love that. Calling him a chicken, Irish chicken, this and that. And the other thing that I think is the awesome factor in this fight between Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor is that I don't think Nurmi will be mentally broken by Conor whatsoever, no matter what kind of tour it is, no matter what kind of face-offs they have, because he has that Eastern Bloc Russian just, you know what I mean? He's still new school. You know what I mean? He's not quite like Fedor, but I don't think that if he took off that, the hat that he wears and run around with it, I don't think Nurmi would get all, sorts of butthurt about it. He'd just be like, all right, I'll see you in the cage. I'm just going to hold you down and beat you ridiculous. And he does make a good point. There is a huge, huge Russian following. It's a huge country. And, for all of me, he can stay at 155 as long as that's the next fight. I don't think they should give it to Ferguson. I think, you know what I mean? If they give it to Ferguson, it'll be because they don't want Conor to be challenged by the Eagle, plain and simple. So, all right, so we've covered Conor enough. We don't want this to be the Conor show.
Let's talk. One second before we get off it. 1 second. I just want to propose what I would like to see happen with this situation, okay? Because listen, Ferguson or Khabib, one of them is going to be pissed, and they both can't get the shot. Now, I think that Khabib is the money fight. We just laid out all the reasons why. So you're going to have Tony Ferguson mad as a motherfucker. This is what I propose you do with El Kukui. I propose you give El Kukui Nate Diaz with the absolute promise that the winner gets the winner of Khabib and Conor. So either way, shit's going to shake out good, and El Kukui still gets a, somewhat of a money fight in the meantime. And come on, Nate, if you want that big trilogy fight for the belt or against Khabib, you got to at least beat some guy. So that would be my compromise, because somebody's going to get pissed in that circumstance regardless.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about the co-main event. We've already talked about this, so no, I know what you thought about it. So I'm just going to make my main points. I do not like Tyron Woodley as the champion. I don't think he's that great of a fighter. I know that he hits hard, and that's fine and dandy. I do like Stephen Thompson, Wonder Boy. There was always some questions. Takedown defense. His takedown defense is getting better. Not really good at getting off his back yet, but that's okay. That's not his thing. He's a karate fighter. He got held down. But last night answered the question, can he take a punch? Holy shit. Tyron uncorked 2 right hands. The second one left Stephen Thompson with the most classic derp face I've ever seen. And they did it in slow-mo, like he's falling down like a tree. That one eye fucking closed all day. Then he got him in a guillotine that should have been inescapable. And Tyron's excuse why he didn't tap, he got a little head. His head ain't all that big, so he popped it back out. I'm pretty sure you still got all the same windpipes and carotid arteries and stuff. So I'm not going to go with that. Now, it was a majority draw, which, as everybody who's watching or may watch this show knows, that means 2 out of the 3 judges saw it even, and 1 judge saw it for a fighter. Now, Michael Buffer knew this. Fred Kirby knew this. Aaron Robbins knew this. That's why Michael Buffer was like, what the fuck? Why are you making me say this shit? And then he had to say that Tyron won in a fucking in a split decision. Then they had to correct themselves, and it looked like somebody took Tyron Woodley's birthdays away. He's like, oh, man, what the fuck? Because he thought they were going to take that belt from him. Joe Rogan's consoling him. He's like, no. It's the same scores. It's the same. Don't worry, Tyron. It's the same scores. You get to keep the belt. Don't be a bitch about this. So I'm not exactly sure if I agree with the draw. I know how it happened. Thompson won 3 rounds. Woodley got a 10-8, and so 2 judges saw it a draw. I was impressed with Stephen Thompson, but my thing is he has got to uncork faster. He's got to uncork it faster. He can't just sit and wait. That's why he got hit with those 2 right hands. What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I was not impressed with fucking Stephen Thompson, to be honest with you. We've talked about this before. Being able to take a fucking beating isn't really a fucking positive trait. I mean, I guess in a pinch it helps. But Stephen Thompson, fucking nickname is Wonder Boy. The cute little prick is supposed to not get hit by somebody like Tyron Woodley. Now, listen, we all know Tyron hits hard, but I don't think anybody's ever accused Tyron of being a very technical boxer. We do, on the other hand, accuse Wonder Boy of being a motherfucking Wonder Boy.
Yeah.
Of being an amazing striker, having great footwork, great head work, head movement. And Tyron fucking thumped his brains out a couple times. Quite frankly, I didn't think he would get hit by Tyron. I thought if Tyron beat Wonder Boy, it'd be a wrestle fuck. I'll be a son of a bitch. I was wrong. He dropped him a couple times on the feet and nailed him a couple times on the feet. Wonder Boy is very tough. I'll give him that. As far as the fucking scores go, I have yet to actually rewatch the fight, so I can't speak with a lot of certainty on this. But just from what I remember in the general theme of the fight and what Wonder Boy looked like afterwards, I don't think Wonder Boy won the goddamn fight. Maybe it's a split decision, but I thought that Tyron just won the fight outright. I don't think it was a draw. But I tend to not watch fights with the 10-point must in my mind. I tend to watch them with the old pride view. I just kind of watch them and then give myself a gauge of who like a street fight or something. Like I just kind of gauge on who I felt like won. At the end of that fight, I felt like, and I'm not a big Tyron Woodley fan either. I picked Wonder Boy going in. I thought Wonder Boy was gonna, this was gonna be his coming out party. He was gonna land a big fucking 720 spin kick or some shit. He didn't. I thought he straight up lost the fight. I think fucking cocksucking Donald Trump had it rigged.
What? Did you really just say Donald
That's
Trump
right.
had it rigged?
That's right. We all seen Donald Trump and that goddamn cowboy and Tim Kennedy out there. He was trying to put the screws to my man Tyron.
Hold on one second.
That's why they went and stole his fucking belt and gave it to Conor. You think that's a coincidence? They sent the white man back there to take his belt?
We're not even going to talk about
Not
this.
cute, man.
All right, so do we care who Tyron fights next?
Yeah, fuck. Not really. I mean, Damian Maia's in line, right?
Yeah, and Damian Maia will win that fight, guaranteed. So that's enough said. All right, so now we're going to talk about the women's strawweights, JJ versus KK, because neither one of us are going to massacre these ladies' names. Okay, so we've talked about this before, and I don't know how the viewers feel. Nobody's tweeting us. Maybe it's because they don't know our Twitter handles. You're what? At Kirby_MMA?
Kirby_MMA. Yep.
And I am at Stand in Bang, right? Stand in Bang Radio? Hold on.
I don't know.
I don't know either. At Stand in Bang Radio. There's just an N, not and. So if you want to tweet to me, I'll tweet back. Okay, so JJ's getting to be where she's kind of like this point fighter. Yeah, she's piecing up her opponents. That's true. But 30 minutes of it is kind of getting old. My view is if you're going to get talked up this much and you're supposed to be the best striker in the strawweight division, you need to be piecing people up, not just from the strawweight reality show, because we all know that was horse shit. Carla Esparza and Felice Herrig and Magana and all those, I don't know where they scraped those women up from, but they were not the best strawweights in the world, guaranteed. That's being exposed now. They're just fighters that happen to look okay on a reality show. Now, where JJ did piece up Carla real bad, and what was it, Penne? But Penne just got her ass beat again by a low-ranked fighter, so that's nothing going. What is it, Catalina? Is that her name?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Yeah, Catalina. She put on a really good performance and almost stole the show. But I think a lot of what it is it seems to me that Joanna is getting lazy. She coasts on her talent, and then somewhere in that 25 minutes, she loses focus, and that's what happened with Catalina, and she got tagged. So what do you think? Where do you think the division goes from here? Who do you want to see next against Joanna Champion?
Oh man, I don't know. Like I said before we went on, man. Listen, I think we all know that Johanna is technically brilliant. She's a great striker, but for some reason, I got the Mighty Mouse effect with her going on. I know she's brilliant. I know she's a great champion. I respect all that. I don't want to hear nobody's fucking mouthy talk about, oh, you're just a newbie. You don't get it. She's such a good striker.
All right, so first off,
be honest,
correction is Carolina. I apologize. I don't mess with these women's names because I notoriously wreck Brazilian and Polish names. Mike Jarvis, thanks for the tweet. He said he knew KK was going to give JJ a hard time. And I think a lot of people did going in because on your point, she's a good striker for the UFC. World-class striker. I'm not sure where she got her 7 titles from, but I'm guessing it's Poland.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just maybe like to see her take a little more risk to get the finish or something. I can't really put my thumb on it. Like I said, it's the same thing with DJ. We all know the Mighty Mouse is one of the greatest fighters on planet Earth. He's technically brilliant. Can't really get hyped up for a Mighty Mouse fight. And for some reason, Johanna's fallen in that territory. I was a little stoked for this fight, the battle for Poland and blase. To be honest with you, man, just keeping it funky. A couple regulars and casuals in my house were dozing off during that fight, man. I mean, I know they're casuals, but you know, they were up for the rest of the fights, so it's a bit lackluster.
Nobody really tunes into us for our analysis, yeah. So we're going to get to where we're just going to start talking about other stuff here pretty soon, but we have to address Weidman and Romero, and we have to address the fight before that. Then we're going to start talking about disgusting slobs not making weight. So Chris Weidman exposed once again for the mediocre fighter that I always knew he was when Yoel Romero jumps out the gate, slashes open his head. Stop making that face. You know it's true. The only reason why anybody thinks Weidman is amazing is because of what he did to Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva was 78 years old. I'm not impressed. So Yoel Romero, 39 years old, uncorks a flying knee, splits open his scalp, bleeding like Joe Stevens against BJ Penn, and then jumps out of the fucking cage and goose steps. Was he goose stepping?
I don't know what the fuck that prick was doing. He was doing the fucking Hell Hitler is what he was doing.
That's what it looked like. It looked like German goose stepping. And then he gets in the ring and he clicks his heels together and starts saluting. So we got gay Jesus out of this fucker. And then we got German goose stepping. And then he starts on fucking Michael Bisping, which, like, we're both grotesque gargoyles, as Andrew Reid would say. But fuck, man, you've made some money now. It's time to fix that eye or do something with that thing because it's something out of a goddamn nightmare.
He can't fix the eye until he's done fighting completely, because if he fixes it and gets sucked in it again, then it's all fucking over. So
anyways, you think that
his fucking point.
Okay, so my point is Yoel Romero is the fucking most awkward. He's the most awkward guy except for his translator, who had to make the Tony Montana face every time he says something. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? You're American. Stop with that. You don't have to make that face and that fucking accent when you're translating for a Cuban, but that's okay. Whatever. All right, so Yoel Romero is probably going to get a hold of Michael Bisping. In your opinion, if he does, who wins?
I mean, what the fuck? I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody that's going to side with Michael Bisping in that competition. Quite frankly, I don't discredit Chris Weidman as much as you do. I was never completely sold on him. I thought he did okay in the first 2 rounds as far as it goes. Yoel's a fucking animal, man. But listen, I'm definitely not sold on Bisping still. I still think he low-key got the belt by default. I think Yoel will fucking run through Bisping quite easily, honestly. I mean, let's just be honest. I think Yoel's definitely going to steamroll Bisping. But just quickly on Yoel before we jump off of this, I'm almost low-key glad he did that, because now I low-key can't stand that cocksucker. You know, I'm not one to be very, sensitive. I don't get butthurt by a lot of things. I'm pretty sure Chris Weidman almost fucking died. He hit him so hard that he almost did a gator roll after he hit him. And then he thumped him about 6 more times because fucking whoever the ref was, I guess fucking didn't like Chris that night. He's going to make a miraculous comeback after he's bleeding like a sieve. And then he fucking hops over the ring, trounces around it, fucking the whole thing. It rubbed me the wrong way, man. At least make sure that he's fucking not dead, but before you go trouncing around celebrating. But yeah, he definitely deserves the title shot, and he should win, I would imagine.
All right, I think Bisping's cardio might give him trouble. Bisping's good at avoiding guys who should beat him until they're tired. But either way, then we had Rocky Pennington beat a horrifically bad-looking Miesha Tate. I've never seen anybody's talent go in retrograde so badly. She looked like that was her first fight. Bending over at the waist, pretty much presenting her face for that stiff jab that Pennington was throwing out. And then after a very tedious, boring fight, kind of steals Rocky's thunder by having Joe come back over and being like, I retire. Which means Caraway's getting the sack, and pretty soon we're going to be seeing her on Brazzers. That's my...
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, she retired after the fight, so I think that no matter how much she acts like if she had won, I think that obviously that was in her mind, and it just wasn't quite in it no more. So, it makes perfect sense, right? She fucking retired after the fight. She kind of looked like a fighter who was slightly uninspired and who was probably going to, I don't know. I'm not surprised by this at all, right? We all kind of seen this coming. Like, what else is there for fucking Miesha Tate to do at this point?
Yeah, she hasn't looked good in a long time. All right, so let me check here real quick before I move on to see if there's anything else that really we need to talk about. Really, the next thing that I want to talk about, obviously, Frankie Edgar does what he always does. He's amazing. He got past Stevens. That's great. None of the other fights, Tim Boach beat Natal, obviously that was going to happen. I want to talk about Alves, Oliveira, and Gastelum. All of these guys, this is starting to become unacceptable. I don't know if it's USADA, Lineker. We got Lineker too.
Yep.
It's the weight cut missers now. It's unacceptable. I don't know if it's USADA. It's your job to make weight. If you miss by 3/4 of a pound, I can kind of understand environmental factors or training factors, or your body stopped sweating and you couldn't. Oliveira was 84 pounds overweight, eating at McDonald's 48 hours before and tweeting it out. No, you don't get it. Maybe once. Yeah. One. You get one from Uncle Dana. If you miss weight abysmally, we'll pretend that maybe it wasn't because you're a lazy fuck or because you weren't on point with your weight cut. But past that, forget it. I don't even know about penalties. This 20%, 30%. I'm thinking like a suspension from the company for a year. All right, you can't be a professional. Take a year and get your shit right. With Alves had a hard time making 170. He just tells Dana, I'm going to make 155. And they're like, all right, give it a shot. He comes in so heavy that Jim Miller has to put himself at a disadvantage, miss weight himself, because there's only a 5-pound weight limit in New York. If your opponent is more than 5 pounds more than you are during the day of weigh-ins, you can't fight. So to save the fight, Jim Miller, the guy that he is, gains weight and allows Alves to stay in this fight and still beats him. Just like with Charles Oliveira, misses weight and then gets choked. I swear to God, there is a little bit of MMA gods that are like, all right, you pull that shit, we're going to make you look stupid. Here you go. A guy that you should be able to beat now gets you in a choke and you lose. What do you think we can do? I'm thinking this. We start to impose a 5% weight limit. During the fight week, you're only allowed to be a certain percentage, 5% above, or a certain poundage, depending on your weight class, with no exceptions, and with somebody who's ready to take your place, so we don't keep losing these fights.
Listen, man, I agree with you, and I am ready to take it. If it was up to me, I would take an even harder no stand than that, because you're right. This is absolutely ridiculous. And what's funny about it is it's the pricks who already know. DuBronx, bro, you've missed like 2 or 3 times. You can't do this no more. Thiago Alves, are you fucking kidding me? You are notorious for missing at 170. You're going to cut to 55? Fucking why? And then you got good old Kelvin Gastelum. Cute little prick. They flat made him go to 85 last time. And they're like, all right, we'll let you come at 170. And I didn't even know, but I think you said something like he came in 8 or 9 pounds overweight. Are you fucking kidding me? It's completely unacceptable. I tell you what I would like to do. 3 strikes and you're out. That's right. 3. I don't give a fuck. Look, pick a weight class. 85, 70. Hey, Kelvin Gastelum, if you want to make 55, you give it a whirl, big dog. But you got 3 fucking times to fuck us on fights and money. That 3rd strike, just like if you came 3 times in New York, you're out. You'll be fucking fighting in Bellator. No joke. If you can't make 55, don't sign a fight for 55. Fight at 70. Vice versa, man. Figure it out, boys. This is your one job. Make fucking weight. I wouldn't give a shit if it didn't rot. Like, listen, Kelvin, if you're not going to fucking make weight, figure it out about 8 days before. Do not wait till 24 hours before the biggest event in history. And to be honest with you, I can't fucking really stand Cowboy personally, but I love him as a fighter, and us getting robbed of that fight fucking sucked 10 hours out from the fucking card. It's completely unacceptable. A fine ain't good enough, man. Fuck that.
No, I agree with you too. And then in the case of Alves, you don't just get to tell us that you're going to 155. There's got to be a test. There's got to show that on demand you can make 155 on the nuts. Championship weight. You talk to Dana, you talk to the powers that be and say, I want to drop to 155. And they say, all right, you've got 10 weeks to make 155 on the nuts. And you have to do that of your own accord. You show us by stepping on the scale that you can make it. Then we'll book a fight a couple months down the road. There's got to be a test. You can, especially if you already have a hard time making your weight. So speaking of losing some fights, on this one we lost Tim Kennedy and Rashad Evans for mysterious medical reasons. We lost Cowboy Cerrone, which really stings for me. I would have loved to see him being the kind of fighter that he is. I would have loved to see him in Madison Square Garden. I think he deserved to be there for that because he's a company guy. He takes all the fights. He's always exciting. So now we got that on 206. What are your thoughts on the whole Tim Kennedy thing? Because he said that if he beats Rashad, he wants to be in the talks for the title. Hasn't it been 2 years since he fought?
Yeah, Tim Kennedy's been he's been out of the game for a long time. And listen, the problem with Tim Kennedy is he's not a flyweight. He's in the wrong weight division to think that he's credited to anything. There's a Q at 85, bruh, and you're not in it. I like Tim Kennedy. He's a tough guy, and he almost beat Yoel Romero if Romero hadn't cheated him. But history is such. Yoel got to come back out, and he starts Tim Kennedy's funny ass. And quite frankly, let's be honest, old Timmy's getting slightly ahead of himself, just assuming that he's, quite frankly, another guy that ain't fought in a month of Sundays. So, no, Tim, you don't get to go fucking hunt Hitler for a fucking month of Sundays, come back and fight another guy who's been injured forever and demand that you be in line for a title shot. Or, I mean, listen, maybe in the mix, but when you got guys like Jacare and Luke Rockhold, I mean, hell, Yoel Romero is the next contender, Jack. Bisping's the champ. Like, he would be in the mix, but nah, it wouldn't get him no fucking title shot or not even close, really.
No, I don't think so either. I think at this point, Rashad is pretty irrelevant, and so is he. So that's just a load of shit. I think it's just kind of that's how the UFC is now. Fighters have become very whiny. Give me what I want, or I'm going to quit. Give me what I want, or I'm going to go free agency. So I think there's some of that going on. So that means we're going to get Matt Brown versus Donald Cerrone, which I am calling it right now. This is the fight of who touches whose liver first. Either one of these fuckers gets kicked in the gut, and that's the end of the fight. I've never seen anything. I've never seen two fighters where I was more worried about a body kick.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, let's be honest here. Matt Brown is fucking. I know, we all know that Donald Cerrone's like literally endorsed by Budweiser, so his liver's got to be a little weak too. But Matt Brown, I mean, it's known. It is known. That is his fucking kryptonite. If you give him a good shot in the liver, he fucking folds like a cheap lawn chair. And let's be honest, Cowboy's known to throw some nasty body kicks. So, very, very good fight. But stylistically speaking, Matt Brown better fucking cover his body.
Absolutely. Okay, now for the 6 people that are still watching, we got up to 8 or 9, so I appreciate that. This was short notice. This is just to get the show running. I think we're going to go short tonight. Just to, we got some viewers. We figured out the link issue. Is there anything that you want to address tonight that we haven't, and something that can't wait until we have a little bit more time to prepare for a real show? Because apparently we are going to start doing this on a weekly basis, hopefully grow some audience back. Thank you guys for tuning in. Kirby, is there anything else that you've been dying to talk about to 6 people?
No, man. No. I mean, I guess the only thing, just to wrap up this whole, first trip to New York experience, Conor winning both belts. The only thing I think we haven't really addressed from this event was Conor's announcement. There was a big hoopla about Conor making some announcement. And then I think it came out that Conor wants to purchase a piece of the UFC. Without getting into a big, great, long discussion, quickly, what are your thoughts on that? Is it possible? Do you think he's just talking out of his ass, or what's that all about?
No, I absolutely do think it's possible, because he brought up the fact that now, like, Ben Affleck owns the UFC. A lot of people own the UFC now. It's a consortium. So why not? Why could he not? What difference would it make? It's not like he's yes, answer the chat room. We have a chat room?
Yeah, asking the wrong fucking white boy about that one, Jack.
I don't know. Mike Jarvis, I don't know if we have a chat room. Sorry. Chat at me and see if it shows up. I just hit the chat button, so maybe it will. I don't know. No, I don't see anything wrong with it. We have to have change, right? We are going to have to see a change for fighters. We're not getting a union, so maybe a little interest in the company. So that would be a retirement plan or something. I don't know. I don't really see any problem with it, especially with how much money Conor has brought the UFC in the last 2 years. So I've got no problem with that. I don't think it's that major of an announcement. I think people have seen that Conor's going to want to get a bigger part of the game or find a way to become a different kind of famous. I think for right now he's happy, but he's always going to be looking to do something bigger, something better. You know what I mean? So, and on that note, sorry guys, I don't see any chat, but Mike Jarvis and Eddie Law and Andrew Reed, whoever's still watching, really appreciate it. This will be up on our YouTube page, the Stand and Bang YouTube page. If you do want to tweet to us or have us talk about something or tell us that this show really sucked, let us know. The show is at Stand and Bang Radio on Twitter. Kirby's at Kirby_MMA. You also have the Instagram thing. I don't even want to say your Instagram name, so you do that one.
That would be Jim_City_Jesus. Jim City Jesus.
That's just sad. That's just sad. The Jesus thing is just too much. I don't know why you did that. But anyways, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Mike Jarvis, I will figure out the YouTube chat thing for next time. Stay tuned. Thanks for retweeting or staying on with us. Let us know how we did, or don't. Andrew Reed, because we already know. And we'll be back next week talking about, I don't know, the next relevant event. So thanks, guys. Bye.